Hey guys, happy Monday. It's Jen. Hope you all had a really nice weekend and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. It was a really nice weekend actually to go celebrate the mothers, and I felt celebrated by Craig and my girls. And then I also went and just had a little driveway visit, self isolation, 6 feet away, but driveway visit with my mom and Craig's mom as well. So that was really nice to see some family and have some celebrations, despite not all being able to get together. And also, I don't know if you're local, but if you are, maybe you had the chance to see the snowbirds fly over yesterday. That was pretty cool. We had the chance to see them fly around our whole house, so we saw them first in our backyard, and then by the time we get to the front yard, they were just crossing over. So that was actually really, really cool to see that. The girls really enjoyed that. They were disappointed though because they did expect them to be snowbirds. So when they saw that they were planes, that was considered cool, but that wasn't what they expected. So, anyways, this weekend, the girls, well, first of all, I finally got the food coloring off my fingers. That took forever to get off my fingers. So finally I have clean hands, and we're going to say no food coloring this week. So anyways, okay. So this week is actually called Love Week. I wasn't sure what that meant at first, but Maya loves love. And she wants this week to be about love and making people happy and all the happy things. So don't exactly know how it'll unfold, but I asked her, can we have Valentine's Day? Like, do you mean Valentine's Day stuff? And she's like, well, yeah, but I also just love love. So it's interesting this year. We actually took down our Christmas tree in January, and immediately Maya wanted Valentine's Day decorations up. So our house was decorated for Valentine's Day with so many hearts and signs and everything for probably a full month. And it was cute, though, because Maya just said she loves the feeling of love. So I just thought that was really cute and kind of goes to show her character. And two other things that sort of also show her character regarding what I think she means by love is we have this little book called The Little Ballerina, and if you can't see it. And it's a little story about a little ballerina named Rosie, and she has a dream about playing Clara in the Nutcracker. But the problem with Rosie is that she's a really she is really clumsy, and so she's a ballerina that falls down often, and the other girls in her dance class make fun of her. Well, Maya replaced the note that was in here because it's one of these cute little books that has different notes that you get to read as you go along. Well, Maya replaced the first note with, because Rosie obviously looked sad sitting there, and this was probably a good year ago, so obviously I wrote it, but she drew the rainbow on the back. Rosie, we give you happy colors, kisses, rainbows, hearts, and unicorns to make you happy again. So she just kind of wrote like a little inspirational message to Rosie in there. And then last week we were reading The Ugly Duckling because Callie is really obsessed with ducks. And Maya felt so bad for how the Ugly Duckling was treated. And fair enough, the Ugly Duckling was treated very harshly, especially even for a kid's book. They were really mean to the duckling, and they called the duckling stupid. Not necessarily this version, but the one online they called him ugly, and so it really hurts his self-esteem. So Maya just asked me, like, why would people be like that? Are people in the real world really like that? And I just wonder when we actually lose that innocence of the childhood innocence of just being so nice and loving to everyone. So Maya just really likes to make others feel good, and she's actually pretty good at it. So one thing that started at a school that I taught at, that's where I originally heard about it, but now I think it's been in many other schools because Maya also heard about it in her kindergarten class this year, but is the idea about like, have you filled a bucket today? Are you a bucket filler, bucket dipper kind of thing? But it's the idea that we all kind of carry around our very own invisible bucket, and a little one is happy with like a bucket full of love, and sad when something causes that light and love to disappear. So I actually have some of in the adult version, there's many different copies of it. Have you filled a bucket today? Will you fill my bucket? Bucket filling A to Z, and fill a bucket. But those are actually my teacher resources at school. So I don't have access to them right now, but I did have a little baby board book version. But I looked it up on YouTube. You can get so many variations, but it's a really cute, really, really cute book with a really amazing concept to it, that basically we all carry our invisible buckets. In other words, we all have self-esteem, and we all have a need to be lifted up and not brought down, and how when you actually dip into someone else's bucket, by calling someone ugly or not helping them, whatever, then you're actually taking away from their sense of their own love, but also it also affects you and makes you feel not as good. So really, really good idea behind these. And at the school I was at, we'd often talk about whether you're a bucket filler, have you filled someone's bucket today? So just kind of reflecting on what you can do with your daily actions to help fill buckets. So I really highly recommend these. And again, just look up bucket filling books online and you can find kind of like adult versions of those. So we generated some really good discussion about that today because when we talked about, well, what is love? And it's interesting that there's a really cute book called Love Is, and it's by Heidi Gray, and it's a really cute book about how if you ask 100 people what love is, 100 people will tell you a different answer because love means something differently to someone else, to everyone else. And that's kind of like the 5 languages of love, which is a really good book that Craig and I actually received for our wedding, and it just talks about how people give and receive love differently. So often there's like clashes in relationships because I give you this thinking you'll interpret it in love, but your love language is this and you need something else to interpret love. So it's just really interesting because in our household, how much you love someone is directly related to how much you give them something. So if we only give them a small amount of treats, then they think that we only love them a small amount. And they will withhold stuff from us all the time to show their love if necessary. But like this weekend, for example, Callie, I was so surprised, but Callie threatened to take away my scooter because I have a knee scooter in my house that I use. And she threatened to take away my knee scooter and my crutches if I didn't give her what she wanted. So needless to say, it didn't work. I can still crawl or hop or whatever. So actually I did walk on my leg this weekend. It was kind of accidental, but then I tried it again to see how strong my leg was. So if you know my surgeon, Dr. Girardi, excellent orthopedic surgeon, by the way, he reassembled my ankle beautifully. But if you know him, don't tell him I've walked. So I might be talking to him tomorrow at an appointment. So I will tell him, but I will not continue doing it. But it is reassuring to know that I can walk and it is healing. So that's good to know. Okay, so on the topic of love, you can read some of the bucket filling books. What is love? What does love mean in your family? What does love look like in your family? So obviously you'll have different degrees of discussion based on the age of your child, but Maya was pretty into it. And so we did in fact get out the Valentine's Day decorations for this week, and we're just going to see how it goes. And I asked her what exactly we're going to do. She's like, we're going to talk about people we love. We're going to do things we love. We're going to look at things we love. So we're just going to do a lot of cool things, some cool learning, and we're going to pass that along and see if you guys want to participate in that fun too. Okay, I have this sitting here. So before I move on, I'll just tell you about this. Okay, so this weekend I kind of had this sitting out with the shapes to just kind of, play around with making shapes with the girls from the last week's activity on Thursday. And I kept looking for the pentagon and I could not find the pentagon. And finally I asked the girls, like, why is this pentagon? Why does it keep going missing? I'm trying to do these activities. And I realized it's because it's the only size that fits on both of them like a crown. So they kept fighting on it and they were hiding it. So needless to say, we had to make another pentagon. And so now they can both have a crown. But I think it's just so funny that so then that brought on so much other discussion, like, well, why wouldn't a square fit your head? Well, it was too small. And why wouldn't a hexagon fit your head? It's too big. So anyways, very cool to talk about that for sure. All right, so for the 2 activities that, aside from reading those 2 books, Love Is, and any of the bucket filling books, like How to Fill a Bucket, or the tiny version that I have, or Have You Filled a Bucket Today, and then just kind of having some general discussion about that. Another activity that I wanted to do, just to continue to work on number sense and building their awareness and their awareness of numbers, just so many things that this is doing for little one. But so I made these, we have so many of these popsicle sticks left. So I took out 12 and on all of them, so I'm just arranging them, sorry. I put, so you can see at the bottom, numbers. Now you can just put the numerical number if you want, if your child's already able to identify the number. But because I also wanted to include Callie, and Maya still may be a little unsure of some of the bigger numbers, how many to put on. So I put all the way up to number 12. as you can see. But I did draw them on like dice, as I said. That way, when the kids are playing and they shake the dice, and then they can just continue to work on their supertizing, which means they just directly look over and can see how many would be on this. So as I talked about previously, that like for example, the number doubles, if you saw 4 and 4, immediately you'd know that's 8, and I just want them to become faster at that. So what they then are going to do is they're going to take the number, and then I set out a whole bunch of paper clips. Now, my girls have also really been into magnetics lately, and like plain magnetics. So that's why I kind of chose this activity. So all they're going to do is they're going to add up 6 plus 5. And if they have to use their fingers to count, that's fine too. So they're going to then know that they need to put on 11 paper clips. So these are magnetic. Obviously, I have some in here too that are not magnetic. They're plastic. So they're just plasticized, but they actually still are magnetic. Okay, perfect. So they're going to know how many then to put on based on that. So kind of fun. Like Callie will be able to do that as well. Callie can count the dots and put them on, or Callie can just play around. Still good small motor skill for her to work on. Still good for her. So all I did was I actually got this magnetic tape from Staples, and as a teacher you use this stuff a ton, so it is fabulous to have those. So I'm not sure how many feet I got, but this was probably only $5 or $6, and this will last quite a while. And I just cut it down and I just put them on here for these sticks. So I'm just going to kind of leave them out. Sometimes I just leave things out, and then I don't bug the girls, because if I bug them, it feels like a task. But if I just leave it out, then they're curious. So I do imagine this will lead on to other discussions as well with magnetics and stuff, because the girls have been really into that. And we were playing with magnetics actually recently, and they were trying their hardest to kind of put them together, and no matter what, they couldn't. But even as an adult, like that's something that I would still do, is try my hardest, like even with magnetic fields, just to try to push them together. So anyways, a lot of fascination with magnets. I imagine that we'll go in that direction next, and to look at some magnet stuff. Okay, lastly, because I want to speed up, just to represent love and Love Week, we just wanted to start with a fun little craft. Now, all I did was I just went through my tissue paper, in my gift wrapping supply bin, something I'm sure a lot of people have at home. Even if it's all, you have very little color, that's fine too. I just cut up little squares from a whole bunch of different colors. And then all I did was take wax paper, cut it into whatever shape I want. So we're going to make ours heart-shaped. So you're going to have the wax paper cut into whatever shape you want, have as much flexibility as you want. But for Love Week, Maya did want a heart. They didn't feel like doing this morning, so I won't have anything to show you until tomorrow that we do. We had a bit of a busier morning. And then when you put it on the window, it acts kind of like a stained glass, but this will just frame it on both sides. So cut out whatever shape you want. Then you are going to glue on the tissue paper. Now, when you glue it on, you're not just going to want to you could use a glue stick, but what I have found, even in the classroom, is you just take a little bit of white glue and then dilute it with water, and then it's kind of like a paste, but it's not too thick. And then children could just use paintbrush, and then just lather it on. And you can also put on a second side to this wax paper if you want to make it thicker, and then just put it on your window, and they actually look really pretty. Now, you might ask why I made such a small shape. Young children don't have a super long attention span, but they also like to get crafts done and see completion. So I just made them really small, and if we want to make multiple shapes, then we will. But then we just have a few to kind of get us started, and we can just kind of put those all around. So that is what is on our agenda for today. I think that's about it. We've just kind of been finishing stuff up and using things that are still kind of out from last week, still into rainbows. That's something we love, so I imagine there's going to be rainbow stuff this week. But just kind of a more open-ended week, but with lots of fun activities and maybe just some discussion points to get you going. So anyways, I hope everyone had an awesome weekend. Have an awesome day, and I will reconnect with you tomorrow. Bye.